C10 News, live at 10.
Holiday travel. How some experts seem to be okay with travel as long as you've been vaccinated. Plus, 5 police officers in Georgia have been indicted in connection with the death of a 24-year-old man. And footage of a car that plowed through a holiday parade in Wisconsin. Hello and thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Jeremy Harrell. Well, there are reports of multiple injuries after a car apparently plowed through a holiday parade in Wisconsin this evening. Now, there was a massive police presence at the scene. More than 20 people have been injured as a result of the incident. One local hospital is treating victims, but they would not say how many or how severe the injuries are. And the city was live streaming the parade. Now, you can see people marching down the street when a red SUV believed to be the suspect vehicle sped through the shot. Now, shortly afterward, you can see police vehicles moving the same direction. Now, officers say they have recovered the suspect's vehicle.
The red SUV drove into our Christmas parade that we were holding downtown. More than 20 individuals were injured as a result of this incident. The Waukesha Police Department has recovered a suspect vehicle. It's an ongoing investigation. Victims were actually transported from the scene via ambulance. Officers actually transported some of the injured personnel and took them to the hospitals, and some victims were actually transported by family members and friends to the hospitals. A very tragic incident, very chaotic. There is no other threats involved. The scene is now safe.
Well, in the crime beat, one man has been arrested in connection with the shooting at a West Monroe apartment complex. Now, the Washington Parish Sheriff's Office arrested Hurt Gordon on one count of attempted second-degree murder. The arrest comes as part of an investigation by West Monroe PD in a shooting at Camellia Trace Apartments last May. Now, according to the arrest warrant, Gordon was involved in a verbal dispute which led to him firing a gun. Well, 2 missionaries who were taken hostage in Haiti last month have been released, according to Christian Aid Ministries. The hostage takers were believed to be members of Ohio-based Christian Aid Ministries. Now, the 17 people, which include 5 children, were taken hostage after visiting the orphanage in October. Now, in a statement, Christian Aid Ministries said the 2 hostages are, quote, safe and in good spirits and being cared for. Now, the group did not give any more information. Well, 5 police officers in Georgia have been indicted in connection with the death of a 24-year-old man back in 2019. The police officers were charged with 1 count of malice murder, 2 counts of felony murder, and 1 count of aggravated assault by a grand jury on Friday. Now, in September of 2019, Fernando Rodriguez was walking down the street unclothed near the Atlanta Motorway Speedway. Now, officers say he did not follow commands and continued to walk away. According to a release from the Henry County Assistant District Attorney, they later held him down and tased him more than a dozen times. Now, Rodriguez later died at a nearby hospital. 1 Air Force pilot was killed and 2 others were injured during an accident involving 2 planes at an Air Force base in Texas. Now, 2 planes were T-3HC trainer aircrafts. Now, the incident took place around 10 a.m. Friday on the runway. An Air Force pilot was killed while 2 others were injured. Now, one of the injured pilots has been treated and released from the hospital. Now, while the others is said to still be in critical condition. Now, specific details involving the incident have not been disclosed. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer held a press conference today in New York City to discuss the price of insulin. He says the Build Back Better plan includes a provision that would bring the cost of insulin down. However, he says the GOP is aiming to kill that provision. Senator Schumer says he will fight to keep the insulin cap in the deal.
So to those in the GOP who want to say kill this provision, I say stand down, stand with the American people, many of whom are your own constituents battling diabetes and tremendous cost.
Well, for many of us, this Thanksgiving will look much different than last year when many of us canceled our plans or limited our gatherings to a small group. Anna Warnke reports the health experts seem to be okay with our return to normal as long as we've had our shots.
To the millions of Americans who plan to reunite with loved ones this holiday season, White House Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci has this message.
For the people who are vaccinated, the people who can get boosted, enjoy your holiday season with your family, indoors, grandparents, children. Do it.
Dr. Fauci said on CNN's State of the Union that fully immunized Americans can safely celebrate the holidays indoors and maskless. But he warns that full immunization for some may include the Pfizer or Moderna booster shot.
Well, 2 shots for a time frame means you are fully vaccinated. When we started to see the immunity start to wane, we said people should get boosted.
On Friday, the CDC approved the Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccine booster shot for all Americans 18 years and older, even those in good health. However, all this good news comes with a warning.
We're in a better circumstance, but we're probably not as good as we should be.
Former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb told CBS's Face the Nation that as states begin to lift mask requirements.
I think we need to be mindful that when we lift these restrictions, we may have to re-implement them if things worsen.
Gottlieb says that with the return of holiday gatherings and cooler temperatures, health officials will be watching closely for a surge in COVID cases in the coming weeks. In Washington, I'm Anna Warnicki.
Well, the Franklin Parish Christmas Parade will be Friday, December 3rd at 7 p.m. Now, it will be a traditional parade with fireworks to follow. It is the 18th year for the event. Now, if you have any questions, you can contact the Chamber of Commerce. Well, coming up on NBC 10 News at 10, hackers are starting to find new and better ways to trick unsuspecting people. We'll tell you how. And a group of shoplifters robbed a California department store. Take a live look at our El Dorado Skycam. Stay with us. You're watching NBC 10 News at 10.
Download the NBC 10 News app, sponsored by the law firm of Eddie Clark and Associates. Need tips on how to stretch your dollar? How about advice on how to manage debt or answers to complex financial topics? Get these answers and more on Money Minute from Ouachita Valley Federal Credit Union. Mondays on NBC 10 News Today.
Going to be driving into periods of extremely heavy rain all the way to El Dorado.
See the difference on NBC 10 News.
It's time to find your next Chevy truck and forge ahead. Take on new challenges and take it to the next level. It's the perfect time to do more in your next Chevy. Find new possibilities, find new roads. Very well-qualified buyers can get 2.49% financing and $1,250 total value on this Silverado Texas edition. Plus, unlock your code to claim $500 Chevy Cyber Cash on most Silverado 1500 Crew Cab pickups.
Simmons Sporting Goods gets you ready for duck season. Complete your spread with a Mojo Elite Mini Mallard, now $69.99. Save big on Flambeau Master Series Mallard decoys, just $49.99 per dozen. Get them cupped up and coming in with an Echo Trash Talker Duck Call, only $19.99. We're open 8:30 to 6, Monday through Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday. Get 12 months same as cash or shop SimmonsSportingGoods.com.
Shrimping wasn't the only thing Bubba knew about. He liked pecans, too. Pecan pies, pecan fudge, roasted pecans, candied pecans, pecan muffins, pecan brownies, pecan cookies, pecan pralines. Louisiana Pecan Shelling Company. The best prices in the Ocklamis. 5-pound bag halves, just $42.50. The 5-pound bag pieces, just $32.50.
NBC 10 News at 10 continues.
Well, welcome back. At least 3 people have been arrested after a group of shoplifters robbed a California department store late Saturday night. Now, the incident occurred at Nordstrom Department Store in Walnut Creek. In this video taken by a reporter with NBC Bay Area News, nearly 25 cars are seen blocking the street. Now, according to police, dozens of looters rushed into the store, taking an undetermined amount of merchandise. Now, many rushing out to their cars with those stolen items. At least 3 employees were injured, one of whom was pepper sprayed. They were all treated and released at the scene. Well, cyber scams are not new. Nowadays, hackers are starting to find new and better ways to trick unsuspecting people. Lane Ball tells us how you can protect yourself against such attacks.
Since the creation of online messaging, cyber attacks have always been a threat. One of the first of many scam emails is now easily recognizable.
It used to be the Nigerian prince scam that everybody saw, and now, it was a joke. And now they're very creative.
One of the more well-known scams affecting people today is phishing, where an email is sent on behalf of a familiar person requesting money transfers or other services. I spoke with the state of West Virginia's Office of Technology on how these scammers are doing this.
They're doing research, and they are sending it to an employee as a boss and asking for gift cards, and the employee wants to do what their boss wants.
Phishing can also be used to lure someone to click on a link that could give them access to their personal information. Recently, the Southern Ohio Medical Center in Portsmouth, Ohio, was a victim of one of these attacks. The effect was so damaging, it affected the staff's workflow, and they had to step away from using computers altogether. But what can be done to prevent these attacks? Danielle Cox with the West Virginia Office of Technology says using double verification software, where you can double check if an email is legitimate, and having an antivirus software installed on all your devices will help prevent attacks from occurring. If an action has already been taken that could affect your workplace,
notify your IT staff. Let them know that something's occurred. Stop a major incident rather than hide the fact.
For businesses, organizations, or individuals, it's important to remember to take these precautions to avoid problems in the future.
Gotta be careful, Brianna. Christmas is right around the corner. Scammers are everywhere.
Yes, I agree. You have to be careful, and especially right now because we are seeing and hearing a lot of rain. Taking a look at our traffic cams, it's rainy out there. I'll have your full forecast coming up after the break. You're watching NBC 10 News at 10.
The Saints take on the Bills in a Thanksgiving night showdown. Before the game, join Chris Demersion for features, highlights, and a review of the Saints season so far. The NBC 10 Saints Special. Thanksgiving night at 6:30 on NBC 10.
I'm Attorney General Leslie Rutledge with a public service announcement about the COVID vaccine. Like you, I'm tired of the mask. Kids not in school, people not at work. But I'm sick of going to funerals. No one should be forced to get the shot. It's about personal responsibility. I got the shot this spring.
I got the shot.
I got the shot.
I got the shot.
Know the facts about the vax.
Get off Google and talk to your doctor.
Over 90% of Arkansans who have died from COVID did not get the shot. Know the facts about the vaccine.
The Ford Black Friday sales event is going on now at your Southern Quality Ford dealer. Get holiday ready with the best offers of the season on America's best-selling truck and award-winning SUVs. New inventory is arriving daily. Or build and order your custom Ford today. There's no better time to get holiday ready during the Ford Black Friday sales event. Get holiday ready in a new Expedition with 0 for 66, plus $1,000 bonus cash for a retail order. Only at your Southern Quality Ford dealer.
Russell, Russell, Russell.
Is the open road calling your name? Some guys were born truck drivers. Be trained and certified in just 16 days. Classes are available to get you on the path to your new career. CDL training, third-party testing, safety training, job placement, and financing available. See the world and get paid for doing it. Don't let life pass you by. Call Coastal right now. Exit 101 in Calhoun.
Need tips on how to stretch your dollar? How about advice on how to manage debt or answers to complex financial topics? Get these answers and more on Money Minute from Ouachita Valley Federal Credit Union. Mondays on NBC 10 News Today. Download the NBC 10 News app, sponsored by Ross Downs, Attorney at Law. Live Storm Tracker Doppler Radar, sponsored by Homeland Bank. And now, exclusive Storm Tracker Doppler weather with meteorologist Brianna Medina.
So our temperatures right now are in the lower to mid 60s. Monroe is at 64 degrees, Ruston is at 65, and Alexandria is at 66. Now we are a little bit warm, however we could have been a lot warmer, but what stopped us from getting warm today was a lot of that cloud cover that we had throughout the day. Now our dew points are also a little bit warmer than yesterday. They are almost at 65 degrees or a little bit past, and that just means that there is humidity and moisture in the air. Now Now, throughout today, we did have a lot of cloud cover and a lot of rain come in and out. And the reason is because of this cold front that is currently passing through the Arclimus. Now, that is what is bringing a lot of that rain and cloud cover. And that rain and cloud cover is going to continue for the rest of tonight. But starting tomorrow morning, we are going to be seeing clear skies and cooler temperatures. And that's because of this high pressure system that's going to be making its way southeast. And as you all know, a high pressure system is associated with nice and fair weather. And that's going to continue for all of Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. However, on Thursday morning, Thanksgiving Day, we are forecasting another cold front that's going to be coming into the Arclimus. However, this cold front is going to be bringing in more rain and more cloud cover. So I do recommend packing a umbrella, a rain jacket, and not to have Thanksgiving outside because it is going to be consistent with rain throughout the day. And starting out later on tonight, we are going to be seeing more rain, and our low is going to be 47 degrees. So it's still going to be a little bit cool, but starting tomorrow, that rain is going to be clearing out, and we are going to have cooler temperatures. Our high for Monday is 62 degrees, and that's going to continue into Tuesday. The high is going to be 63, and Wednesday we are going to be warming up just a bit, but then Thursday morning, that's when our second cold front is going to be coming into the Arclimus, bringing in more rain, more cloud cover, and helping us drop our temperatures to the mid-60s. Now, going into the weekend, we are going to be having a cool beginning. Fridays, our high going to be 55 degrees, and that rain is still going to be lingering through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but we are going to be warming up just a bit for the majority of the weekend. Our temperatures are going to be in the lower 60s.
Is your turkey dancing on the Thursday?
Yes, he is. I love those graphics.
Well, it's cloud time.
Yes, our favorite time, and we received a picture from Betty. Betty sent us a cirrocumulus cloud, which are 15 to 50,000 feet in the air, and when these clouds are covering a lot of the sky, they tend to look like scales from a fish. Therefore, we like to call it a mackerel sky, and the reason why they're pink is because of the sunset. Now, the sunset is reflecting those colors onto the clouds.
That is a beautiful picture. Thank you, Miss Betty Wilson. Well, coming up on NBC 10 News at 10, it's a clash of two of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. See how Dak Prescott and Dallas Cowboys face Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Stay with us. Sports is next.
NBC 10 News today, followed by the Today Show with Hoda and me for all the day's news.
I did some early shopping this year. One for you, one for me.
I love it. I got us a little something, too.
Yeah?
Yep. One for you and one for me.
I love it.
Oh, actually, that would...
I love it.
I like red.
Get over $2,000 purchase cash on 2021 Sierra Light Duty Crew Cab models. Plus, current eligible GMC owners get an additional $250 purchase allowance.
See your Monroe El Dorado area GMC dealer.
Russell. Russell. Russell.
Is the open road calling your name? Some guys were born truck drivers. Be trained and certified in just 16 days. Classes are available to get you on the path to your new career. CDL training, third-party testing, safety training, job placement, and financing available. See the world and get paid for doing it. Don't let life pass you by. Call Coastal right now. Exit 101 in Calhoun.
Woundostomy Care Clinic of West Monroe, the only privately owned woundostomy clinic in Louisiana.
Reggie Nolan Insurance Agency has been serving the Arclimus for over 40 years. Veteran-owned and operated, we are still serving the Arclimus and those 65 years or older, or others who may be eligible. Give us a call today or stop by for one-on-one attention with your Medicare choices.
Bankruptcy isn't what we do, it's all we do. Call Sam.
This might look like a cliffhanger.
But this is the Nissan sales event ad. There's something to hold on to.
This is the part where I rush to save the day.
Wow, what a ride.
Hurry in for a low $309 per month lease on the 2022 Frontier.
Don't let something break slip away.
Maya Hudgens and Hunter Elise. Weekday mornings on NBC 10 News Today. The NBC 10 Fox 14 Barron Weather App. Sponsored by Kubota of Monroe. Now, your local sports with Dominique Williams.
Happy NFL Sunday, and this week's 11, it was rush, rinse, repeat. Eagles defense brings pressure. 3 turnovers in the 40-29 win against the New Orleans Saints on this Sunday afternoon. Let's take it to the highlights. 30 seconds left in the game, but wait, hold up. There go our good friend Kevin Hart there. You already know he's a Philly native, was at the game. Eagles leading 20-7 in the second quarter. Simeon pass is intercepted by Darius Slay for the 51-yard pick six. He's taking it all the way to Eagles. Eagles will lead 27-7 at the break. Fourth quarter, Saints down 33-13. Simeon escapes the pocket and sprints into the end zone for a 17-yard score. Saints fighting back, but they're still down 33-19. Later in the fourth, same score. Jalen Hurts fakes the handoff and jukes out his defender for a 24-yard touchdown. You'll get the instant replay right here. Hurts breaking Carl Grandison's ankles in the process. Hurts with 3 rushing touchdowns today. Eagles win against the Saints 40-29. All right, this Week 11 NFL Sunday matchup, it was a clash that sees Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes. Let's take it to the highlights. Second quarter, Kansas City leads 9-3. On the option, Mahomes flicks it to Clyde Edwards for a 1-yard score. Chiefs take the lead 16-3. Later in the second, Kansas City leads 16-3. Prescott fires to CeeDee Lamb in the end zone. Travarius Ward picks it off. Lamb, who actually slams his head on Ward, interception. Lamb will be ruled out with a concussion. Chiefs lead 16-3 at the half. Fourth quarter, 19-9. Kansas City, Dak Prescott sacked by Chris Jones and Jarian Reed. Chiefs defense gets 5 sacks on Prescott in the game. Later in the fourth, Kansas City leads 19-9. Prescott pass is tipped up, allowing L'Jarius Sneed to pick it off. Chiefs takes the win 19-9. All right, let's make our way to some NBA action, all right? New Orleans Pelicans did not get the win against the Indiana Pacers, falling 111-94 in Saturday night's contest. Second quarter, Pacers up 14. Sabonis with the nifty bounce pass to Craig for the bank shot. Pacers up 16 here. Later in the third quarter, Pacers up 14. Sabonis will hit the corner 3, and he finished with 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. Now, still in the third quarter, Pacers up big. Chris Dort misses the 3, but Miles Turner, he will come flying in for the tip slam on 1, 2, 3 Pelicans there. Multiple defenders for the huge dunk. Pacers win 111-94. All right, also continuing the NBA news, Lakers forward LeBron James was called for a flagrant foul 2 for elbowing Detroit forward Isaiah Stewart in the face during the third quarter on Sunday's matchup. LeBron James was ejected after drawing blood on Isaiah Stewart's face when they were tangled up while boxing out for a rebound. Stewart, who was ejected from the game for escalating the situation as he kept running after James on the court, refusing to leave. Stewart repeatedly went after James, unwilling to leave the court and doing all he could to get to the Lakers forward. Eventually, Stewart was wrapped up and pulled off the court by Detroit personnel. Going down memory lane, just 2 days after the 17th anniversary, the NBA's biggest brawl, Malice at the Palace. If you guys remember, it took place in Pistons Arena against Indiana Pacers when Ben Wallace attempted a layup shot but was fouled from behind by Pacers forward Ron Artest. That escalated and sparked the biggest brawl amongst players and fans. Social media fans across social media calling this incident during the Lakers and Pistons game Malice at the Palace too, but thank God it didn't even go that far where fans were involved. After referees made their decision when watching a replay of what occurred, James was escorted to the Lakers locker room and ejected and charged with that flagrant foul too. Lakers did go on to win the game 121-116. Lakers will actually meet the Pistons at Staples Center next Sunday. All right, last look at your forecast after the break. You're all watching NBC 10 News.
Butter pecan. Buttercream. Butternut squash. Butter garlic. Better not come in here with that noise. Sonic garlic butter bacon burger. Baseball. Butter. Sweet butter.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right. Bring home the Kubota BX2380 tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 60 months.
Come visit us at Kubota of Monroe. You can visit our website, KubotaofMonroe.com.
With tens of thousands of customers served, B&B Tree Service has been North and Central Louisiana's #1 choice for tree care since 1983. For nearly 40 years,
We've been your experts for trimming, pruning, and removing trees, including stumps. We also offer a flex pay plan. So call 343-8355 for a free estimate and let the experts at B&B Tree Service take care of you.
Give our Papa a call.
Get the 6-minute advantage with the live Storm Tracker Doppler radar on NBC 10, your weather station, sponsored by Homeland Bank. Where's your money?
We stack them deep, sell them cheap at LA Auto Sales. Cars starting at $4,995. Financing and warranties available on most vehicles. If we don't have it, we'll scour the country to find it. A family business since 1991, and customer loyalty is #1 with us. $500 off when you mention this commercial, and an additional $250 off any advertised price on the website for military and first responders. 3 locations on Louisville Avenue to better serve you. Free delivery within 200 miles. Lots of cars with low miles, low monthly notes. Shop online 24/7 at laautosales.org.
Wound Ostomy Care Clinic of West Monroe, a unique approach to healing wounds and managing ostomies.
I definitely think mocha is an adult flavor.
Listen, the kids have their drink with candy.
Yeah.
I get my own drink.
This is our candy.
You know...
Espresso candy.
Sonic Mocha Crunch Blast. Espresso.
You say espresso?
Yes, I do.
The NBC 10 Fox 14 Barron Weather App, sponsored by Sam Henry.
Let's look at your 7-day forecast. The remaining of tonight is going to be cool and rainy. Tomorrow is going to be clearing out, but with cooler temperatures. And then Thursday is going to be rainy once again with our second cold front coming in.
We'll take a look at this. The 27th annual marathon is well underway in Philadelphia. Close to 21,000 runners registered to take part in this weekend's races. The half marathon took place yesterday, and the 26.2-mile full marathon kicked off today. Runners from all 50 states participated and ranged from 11 to 90 years old. Can y'all imagine that? 90 years old running a marathon.
No, not me. I couldn't. Nowadays.
Wow. Well, you can stay up to date at myarklamiss.com. And Thursday is Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next weekend. Good night.